speaking of some of the graphic novel stuff that we just went over, or Mark just went over, I'm going to turn it to Miranda because she has a request for everybody.
Yes, this is a release we're going to need some help testing, mostly because it interfaces so much with data and what your data looks like, and we can only do so much with our test data. So there are three things I'm calling out. It's a little bit of a reiterating point of some of the stuff Mark highlighted, but the first one would be this graphic novel grouping thing. Please look at how graphic novels are grouping specifically as it relates to like if there is a book title in addition to the graphic novel. So for a hint here, I pulled out any Scholastic Graphics title grouping with the regular books. So these would be, our greatest hits of grouping woes like Wings of Fire, Babysitter's Club, stuff like that. Take a look at it, see how it's grouping, and let us know if things aren't looking okay for those. So that's that one. The second would be the new formats that Mark was talking about. So he showed you in the release notes, and I made a little meme so we can all like remember what we need to be looking at like for these formats. So if you're using bib level format determination, a lot of the new formats relate to um if like position 6 of the leader is M or R. Yeah, it rolls off the tongue, right? This is a meme everyone will understand, right? Yeah, if position 6 of the leader is M or R, if like look in your 008s and make sure that bib level format determination is looking good. Previously, I think all of them, if you look in the release notes, this would have been related to stuff showing up as electronic or physical object before. We just have more granular options now. So take a look at those. Remember your meme. There's also 1655 look for manga. So look at that. Look at the release notes, but the meme will help guide you for most of those. And the third would be related to both of those things. So we have some new grouping categories as well as fixing grouping category determination. So for big ones like this, it was check on your video games is the hint I'm giving you, because previously we would have video games mixed with a book and a movie format, so you couldn't group them together. So specifically, maybe make sure your PlayStation 5 and PlayStation 4 video games are grouping with the rest of the titles for us. And that is the call to test. I will be in the testing channel like always if you need help. And back to Morgan.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Miranda. So yeah, if it wasn't clear, the call to test is for 2405. So if you have a test server, or if you happen to have the release now, those are things that you can look at and help us fine tune. Super appreciated. All right, it is time to welcome some of our newest Aspen partners since the last month that we met. So for Aspen Discovery, we have welcomed Anna Rundle from Maryland. Maryland? Wow, that's a way to say that. Midlothian in Texas, and Port Library, which is a Chuckles add-on. They're a Kansas consortia. So yay, welcome to Aspen. For Aspen Leda, so we are now welcoming Ocean State Libraries, yay, Porter County Public Library System in Indiana, and Pueblo in Colorado. So yay, welcome to Leda. All right. I can imagine that you're all clapping at your desks right now, so it's heard across the world. Next up, I just wanted to give a plug for Aspen Academy. Our next session for the beginning of the year is on May 14th. So this is about administering Aspen Leda, and I will be showing you how to do the setup. Luckily, a lot of the setup for Aspen Leda is already done just in your regular settings. But there are some extra awesome bells and whistles and notifications, self-checkout, things like that you may want to learn how to set up and test for your libraries. So come on May 14th, 11 a.m. Pacific, 2 p.m. Eastern, if you want to learn more about that. We are also planning to announce Aspen Academy sessions for the rest of the year at that session too. So they will be available because we are planning to continue more Aspen Academy sessions. So in the agenda, there is a link to register. Let me just copy that and slap that in the chat right now. There we go. So if you're interested, there it is. Okay, I'm going to turn it over to Jordan again for priority planning and review.
Thank you so much, Morgan. Let me get this going. My sharing screen. All right. So, for those of you that are here every time, you know this is a normal part of our agenda. This is where we talk about what our plan was for this current release and how well we met the plan, and then talk about what we're going to do for the next release. This is our chance to be transparent to you and let you know how well we're meeting the goals that we're setting. So, on the left is the plan that we shared at the last Aspen gathering, and then on the right is what we were able to get done this month. So, as you saw from Mark, ungrouping the graphic novels from regular books is done. This was so thrilling to get done. I was so happy to see all of the happy comments coming through, something we really wanted to do for a long time. Also, if you look at our release notes, you'll see a long list of just lots of little things. These are partner priorities, high priority bugs. We try to prioritize as many of these as we can every month. The next one is support for BiblioBoard and Palace project. We recently completed the Palace project integration. You might have seen that last month. We did not do BiblioBoard as part of this. Because it's just kind of different content. We're going to talk about that in a minute and whether we want to tackle that BiblioBoard content first or maybe do something with a different e-content platform. So again, hang tight and we'll talk about that one a little bit more. E-commerce updates are ongoing. So we did a few of those last month. We have a few more planned, just some needs to make sure that our libraries can use their e-content platforms. Easier translations for text blocks. This is one that we had as, I think it was part of Palace Project, or I might be forgetting exactly which feature. It was something that we tried for a new kind of translations, and we were going to spread it across all of Aspen administration. We haven't quite had time to get to it, and we also want to make sure that it's sustainable for consortia. So we're going to postpone that right now. If you were super excited about that, please let me know. Come to the community meeting to talk about it, because we can definitely pull that right back up. But we didn't have time to get to it for 2 months, and we just kind of were thinking, maybe that's not as big of a priority. But let us know if you think it is. Accessibility fixes. Mark showed some of these. I'm going to have a really fun one to show you next. Thank you to Penticton. They've been putting in a lot of accessibility, not just accessibility fixes, but accessibility recommendations that really improve the usability for our patrons that use things like screen readers. So we've done a certain amount of that, and we'll do a little bit more. And then this one we had planned last time, but my bad, I forgot to put it on the board, was that event integration, the new Aspen interactive event integration. So that got done as well. Now's the fun part, what we're planning on doing for the next time. So as part of separating out those graphic novels, one thing that our community group and our catalogers group, well, first our community group said is, we really want that young readers separated out too. This is when there's a really popular, maybe usually adult nonfiction, and they want a version for maybe teens. So you have the young readers edition. When they have the same title and author, just like graphic novels, we have the issue where they're grouping together. So we worked with the catalogers group and how to make sure that these can also be separated out since they are not the same content. So you can watch for that next month. Then, as every month, partner priorities and high priority bugs. If you were at AspenCon last month, no, 2 months ago now, oof, it's May already. The number one thing that came out of our tournament of features was new features for older e-content integrations. This is the feature that's kind of replacing BiblioBoard from last month, and we're going to talk about what this means in a minute. So hang tight. That one, the name of that one will change, because as a group, we're going to talk about what's the very top priority to do there. E-commerce updates ongoing. Like I said, we're going to be doing more of that, and the same with accessibility fixes. I am going to pause for just a second to see if there is anything in the chat. And I don't see anything, so we're going to be moving on. All right. So the next thing on the agenda was an accessibility option for browse categories. Now, we've been looking at our browse categories, and they are technically accessible. Just because something is accessible does not mean that it's actually a good user experience for the person that is, in this case, using a screen reader. So we identified that there was a usability issue with our current browse category, the way it was arranged. We also did some investigation to figure out, keeping it the same format that it is right now, it's not really possible to provide a good experience with usability. And some of the problems that we were having are listed right here. So someone using a screen reader has to tab through every single browse category, all of them, and your sub browse categories, just to start to go through the titles. And that seems unnecessary and also confusing. Second, the user has to tab through every result to get more results, that little arrow at the bottom. And then when they do click on the arrow, it brings them to the bottom of those more results. So then they kind of have to work backwards. Again, technically accessible, not the best user experience. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to give you a preview of what we're going to do. So there's a screenshot. This is not done yet. This is one of the accessibility things work that's coming next month. So these are just mock-ups, just want to be completely clear. There's a screenshot of this and a link to it in the agenda if you want to see it later. But I do have a little bit more of a live mock-up to show you here. So this is a little bit more of a Netflix model. You have your main browse category at the top and then your subcategories down here. Here's one with 2 lines of subcategories, so you can see how that works. And then one with no subcategories. So instead of going through all of your categories, and many of you, think about how many categories you have and then how many subcategories and how many tabs that would be. Now everything is really organized more by the topic that it's on. So this is what this would look like. Now, this is not a replacement for existing browse categories. How the browse categories are today will continue to be that way. This will be an option that you can use, and you can use it in a couple different ways. One, you'll be able to just replace it. So you don't have to replace it, you can replace it. Another thing that a couple libraries have mentioned is maybe wanting an accessibility theme. Now remember, you can share themes with our community content server. So if anybody creates, we have a high contrast theme in there right now. If anybody creates an accessibility theme, then someone that uses a screen reader could switch to the theme that is very much optimized for someone using a screen reader. And that would be something that we definitely want to make sure this browse category setup is there for. So again, this is coming next, planned for next month. It's development, we never know, but I think we'll be able to get this done for next month. And just wanted to kind of give you a preview and let you know what we were doing and the impetus behind doing it. And who knows, maybe you just like this one more. Okay, I see positive comments in the chat. Any other comments in the chat, feel free to add. We can always circle back. But I have one more thing to talk to you all about. We're going to go back into the deck. Okay, so when we were talking about what to do next, said that with the tournament of features that there was a desire to have improvements for e-content platforms. That was the #1 thing that won. But that's also kind of vague. We have a number of different e-content platforms and different improvements that are kind of around the top. So I did create a poll. It's linked to in the agenda, and I can get that link in the chat in a minute. But I wanted to go through the different options of what's kind of been floating to the top. But within that poll, you can also add something different. So the first is what we originally planned, the BiblioBoard integration for Palace project. This is more complicated than the other Palace project content because you can put lots of different kinds of content into BiblioBoard. So take the example of like digital archives, like images. We want to make sure that per project within BiblioBoard that content gets indexed in the appropriate index. So you probably don't want archive content indexed with your books. You're going to say, okay, this content I want indexed with my archive content, or maybe this content is appropriate to index with books. So it was a little bit more of a complicated integration to get that content in. So we kind of put it to the side and said, we'll see if we want to do that one next. The second one is Hoopla Flex for individual libraries. I have a note on here that says the APIs don't yet support consortia in the way that we need them to in order to be performant. We do, I know, have a Hoopla rep on the phone. So when we get to open time, or if you have any questions now, or not on the phone, in the call, it would be a great time to ask her about these. So that's Bridget. But yes, we could do Hoopla Flex for individual libraries. If you have something else you want for Hoopla, that's also a possibility. Within the poll, you can put that in as well. Overdrive, there are quite a few different things that folks want, different requests. So if the results of the poll say we really want to do Overdrive, what I'm going to do is add that to our community agenda. And at the community meeting, we can all talk about how we want to prioritize Overdrive stuff. Okay, so let's go ahead and it looks like Miranda's already got the poll in there. There's also a link to poll results. That's not just open during this. I'll leave that poll open for maybe a week, week and a half. So anyone that's not here and needs to catch the recording later can put information in on that poll. But just wanted to make sure that we were getting all of your feedback on what we do next. I do not see anything in the meeting chat. So with that, I am going to stop sharing and turn it over to Morgan or Kate.
Yeah, I'll just send it to Kate. Take it away, Kate.
Thank you. Just to update you a little bit about AspenCon 2025, we are of course very much in planning stages at this point. So we would absolutely appreciate it if you could fill out the poll. It's either in the survey. Also, I'll put the link here in the chat. In case you forget about it, just go to community.discovery.org. And on the main page, you will find a link to that survey there. That would help us definitely plan the date and the location for it better. And the survey will stay open until May 7th, so we can discuss it at the next meeting, which will be on May 8th at 9 a.m. Central, 10 a.m. Eastern. So if you would like to join, please do. We always welcome everybody that would like to get involved with planning. And in case you forget about that date, again, community.discovery.org. And that's where we are right now. So yes, please vote, just like Morgan said. And that's it for me about AspenCon. Let me pass it over to Tara.
Hey there, just a reminder that our next community meeting is going to be this month. There is a link in the chat there for that agenda, and I'm gonna pop it here. I'm sorry, in the agenda, and I'm popping it in the chat here. So that is coming up. Oh wow, the date is wrong on mine. I'll have to change that. Sorry about that. It says March. I did want to remind you all for this meeting, we're going to do an activity to try to raise up some of the tickets, bugs, enhancements that you might have. Try to give those the nice community boost to prioritize some of those community things that you're seeing. So there's space in the agenda to add any of those tickets, bugs, enhancements you want to talk about with the group. And hopefully if we find some things that a bunch of us are dealing with or ideas that we all really like, we can kind of raise those up at the development flagpole. So please do come to the community meeting. Hope to see you there.
So thank you, Tara. All right. Speaking of meetings, Jordan has some information about a new type of meeting.
Yeah, so given the popularity of the developer workshop at AspenCon and just general things we've been hearing from folks, we think it'd be a really good idea to have a meeting that's specific to folks that want to develop on Aspen. We have a number of individual libraries as well as 4 different support organizations, I think, that are contributing code right now. So there is a poll, and this time I have my poll copied and ready. So it is in, actually, let me get it to everyone. There we go. Okay, there's the poll for the dates. The time, if we can, we would really like this to be at 11 a.m. Eastern, and this is just to be kind to our international folks and our Pacific Coast folks. It's 8 a.m. Pacific, 4 o'clock for the folks in Great Britain. So yeah, we have the poll. Choose the dates of the month and how frequently you want that meeting, and we will get that organized as soon as we can. I think I'm next on the agenda too with the rest of the meetings. This is just just to let all of you know, all of the other community meetings that are out there, we don't get updates from all of these groups at this meeting. I'd especially like to call out the catalogers group. That is a very active group, and that is how we make decisions on how certain things will be coded, how those formats. So if you're concerned at all about changes that we're making to how all of that works in Aspen, make sure that you or a cataloger on your team attends that to make sure that whatever decisions we make work for your group. The other one that I really want to call out is our brand new Sierra users group. Thank you so much to Jeremy from Minuteman for organizing this. This is super exciting. Their first meeting will be on July 10th. And the community calendar that has the dates and times for all of those meetings is at the bottom there. And I can put that link in here as well. All right. Thank you so much. And I'll hand it over to Jesse.
All right, thanks, Jordan. So we have lots of outreach events that we'll be at the next month or so. We'll be in Maryland and Utah next week for their Library Association conference. We'll also be having a summit partner gathering in Utah in person at the Salt Lake City Public Library on May 8th. So if anyone is out in Utah, join us for that. We'll be in Florida, Rhode Island, and New Jersey to round out the month of May. We want to congratulate two of our partners that were named the Library Journal's Mover and Shakers for 2024, Alex from Helen Plum and Phil from Tacoma Park, Maryland, who's currently in implementation with Aspen. Congratulations. This is just a tremendous honor to see our partners honored as movers and shakers and the incredible things that they're doing. We also have a webinar on May 7th at 3 p.m. Eastern, where the team will be talking about Aspen Lita, so you can register for that as well. And I'm going to hand it back over for open time.
Super quick update in case you weren't watching chat. I read our calendar wrong, and the first Sierra group is next Monday or next Wednesday, the 8th. So it's every other month, and the next one is next week. Sorry about that. It's correct in the agenda now.